Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on the channel. Today we're doing something slightly different and we're going to be setting up a readathon in my Gamifying Reading journal for the month of May. Every May I participate in the readathon for Goober's book club, and it's just called Goober's Readathon normally. This year we're going to have a fun little topic to focus on as we do each year. If you're new to this readathon, I'm going to link it in the description below, albeit we are now this will be up past the mid-month point of May, so perhaps it might be just something that you'll look into and figure out you might take on next year. You might be very able to add some of the books that you've already read this month and start playing along. But this is a really fun readathon that is hosted over at the Goober's Book Club. It is hosted by 3 people. 2 of them I have followed in some way for the longest time, and one is a dear friend of mine, so that is why I joined the book club. So very lucky to be able to do yet another year of Goober. I am doing the year-long readathon, but this is just the one that goes every May from the 1st to the 31st of the month. And Goober this May wants to learn more about cooking. So if you're following along with the year-long theme, Goober is learning how to bake. And for the month of May, Goober is just branching out, maybe doing some personal curriculum, learning more about cooking. And that is what we're going to be focusing on for this particular readathon. And essentially, they are just prompts. So each prompt has an explanation. So for example, we'll be looking at 2 different parts. That is what I'm setting up right now. We're doing part A. And I do apologize in advance that the headers for each segment is in green and you can't read it. I can in person, but yeah, it's very difficult for you to read what this says on that tan background. But the first one actually says kitchen basics. And then I'll be writing down the prompts. And how this works is part A, you have to follow a certain order, and part B you can do in whatever order. And so, for example, like I mentioned, the prompts will have some sort of food related title. So prompt number 1 is food safety. And then the explanation is just a book you think you'll like. So it's not necessarily everything that's related about food. They just have an overall arching theme about food because that is what Goober is doing this year. And Goober is the mascot of the book club. It's a little ghost, and yeah, I just absolutely love it. So I think this is delightful, and so I always participate. But like I mentioned, part A, you have to follow through in a specific order. So looking back at kitchen basics, I would start at number 1 with food safety. I cannot start at number 3, which is produce sourcing. Even though if I have an ability to finish that prompt right now, I cannot use that one. I have to do 1 and 2 first. So that is how this readathon has a little bit of a challenge to it. You do have to fill it in as you go. The good thing about it is part A has 6 different parts. So if you get stuck in kitchen basics, for example, you can then move on to Nature's Kitchen and start at number 1 there, which is Farmer's Market. And that is a book rec by the community. So you do have options to look into other areas if you get stuck on a prompt. And the ones that are encircled, the numbers that are circled in green, that is the amount of points that you'll get per prompt. So you get 1, 2, or 3 points towards whichever one that you've read in that particular section. So you can earn a total of 6 points per section. And then part B, which we'll get to very soon, I am writing as tiny as I can to fit this all onto this left-hand side here because I want to put the covers on the right-hand side. Part B is different, where it's the opposite. You don't have to follow in a certain order. If you want to read, let me just scroll down. I've got it open beside me because I'm going to fill in the TBR in a minute. For part B, there are 3 segments or 3 sections. And so if you wanted to read, say, food tour, which is worth 6 points, it says visit a local food market, then you can do that first instead of going to the top of that segment, which is share a favourite recipe. Perhaps you'll do that after you've been to the farmer's market or food market and then use the ingredients that you perhaps brought to share a recipe that you we'll be working on, something like that. So I just find this really fun. It's a great way to get a little bit more competitive and find a little bit more challenge. And then you've got options to create to fulfill different prompts if you get stuck in multiple ways. I'm not expecting to finish all 27 prompts. That would require 27 books because only one book per prompt is allowed for this particular readathon. I do know that people do it. They get like tiny little novellas and they get it done that way, which is fantastic. I have other readathons that I'm participating in and also other commitments, i.e. ARCs. So I cannot just go off and do whatever I like. So I am just going to tackle it as much as I can and see where I get off. I have done this every single year. I haven't been competitive about it in the past. There is incentives for past players. If you've gotten a certain point from previous years, you can add it and then use that incentive this time round. I honestly cannot remember what I got last year to add it up for this year. And I am very lazy about getting down my journal that has that information in it. So I'm just going to just leave it and start afresh this year, and then I'll have the points jotted down on this particular page that I can then look back for next year and be a bit more competitive and use those incentives for next year's readathon, if that makes any sense. So like I mentioned, I am now putting down part B here. I showed you my hand. I don't know how, because I wasn't eating. I never eat while I'm journaling. I don't like the idea of getting any oils or food onto my journal. But there was a little scrap of chocolate that I had been resting my hand in and I had no idea, and that's why I showed you my hand, because I noticed it and I was so worried that it was on the page and I had to look everywhere to make sure that I hadn't got it on there. Also, I was listening to an audiobook while I was setting this up, and it felt like a really good time to be listening to something while I was doing this, but I do admit that I wish that I chose different colours for the pens. I used my Anko gel pens. They're brand new to me. They're amazing. They're so opaque. They work really, really well. But I do wish that I used a different green or a different colour that stood out on those tan headers. So I do apologise. That was a mistake I made because I was not paying attention to the colours enough as I did this. But other than that, really happy with how this page has come together. And in this little green bar here is where I'm going to put the total score. It's going to literally say total score in a minute, using that same font from the top header that I was copying from looking at the document on my computer. That's why I keep looking away to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And then on the right hand side, I'm just going to put a whole bunch of pencil, to be honest. So there are 27 prompts. I'm going to make little spaces for tiny covers, this size here, and each segment is going to have, each prompt is going to have a segment. Why do I keep saying segment? Each prompt is going to have a space, that's what I mean, on this right hand side here, and I can just stick the cover down onto it. I'm going to also write in pencil what the title of each prompt is, just so I can find it, because everything is not numbered. Whilst there are numbers 1 through to 3 on each of part A, that represents just that particular section. It doesn't necessarily add up to that. So I'm just going to write down all the titles in pencil, and then I'll either erase them or just cover them up with the cover. And for some of the prompts, they're not book related. Like I mentioned, go to your local food market and then share a favorite recipe. I'm just going to put the picture of it that I take for that particular prompt. So yeah, very straightforward. Really like this readathon because it gets you thinking. I'm going to also stick down some decoration at the very bottom of the page once I've got all these little headers down. So I did end up printing out a little picture of Goober, who is the mascot, and I stuck it in the bottom, sort of in the middle actually, of that page, because I do also put down some washi tape that came from the Archer and Olive fantasy release recently. I cannot remember for the life of me what the fantasy based collection is called. Does it say it up there? Oh, it does. I looked up at my books. It was the Enchanted Chapters. Of course, I should have remembered that. So I did end up getting the Archer from the Enchanted Chapters sent to me, and they also sent me some washi tape. So I used one of them from it. It's this really lovely green with like a wildflower type design. I just wanted to fill up the bottom of this page, to be honest, and it was a very thick washi tape. It's so lovely, and it was very nice to finally use it. And then I'm just going to stick Goober, as you can see, kind of on top. And I also just write Goober and then put a little love heart because I love Goober and I didn't know what else to put there, to be honest. I didn't have any other decoration that I thought that would be applicable to this page. Maybe I should have left it blank. I'm not sure, but there we go. It says Goober. All right, well, in a moment, and then I'll cut off the excess of the washi tape, and then this page is done, and I can start filling it in. Obviously, I'm not going to fill this in until the end of the month, and I'll do it in my monthly wrap-up. That's when I tend to stick books into this journal anyway, but I'm all ready to go. I've got my little document open right now. This readathon thankfully comes with like a tracking system, so you can use a Google document to track your progress in the readathon. You don't actually have to do a page like I have, but because I have a readathon journal, it made the most sense to do it in here, and I'm so glad that I did because I think this turned out really, really cool. So yeah, that is it. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Let me know if you'd like to see more in this journal, and until we next meet, I hope you have fun reading or journaling. Bye everyone.